there's always hope. There's always support out there for you. There's always people that care.
The dogs will open up those conversations, and if somebody's struggling, then we can go for a walk with them and just check on them and make sure they're all right.
There's even science to suggest that even if you have a brief interaction with a dog and then you go on to see a traumatic incident, it makes it easier for you're in a better position to then go and deal with it. So it can be after and before as well, I think.
Yeah.
I've experienced colleagues who have had PTSD and I've seen the devastating effect that it's had on them. I wanted to do something about that, and I noticed when I went round there, if they were stroking the dog, they could talk to me normally without shaking and without sweating and without being really, really nervous. And that was just a light bulb moment for me.
We never know. Sometimes we may just have caught that individual, that person, that colleague at the right time and given them an opportunity to reach out instead of taking another path, which is something we're all really passionate about. Hello and welcome to ResetU, the podcast. I'm Andy Rose from Oscar Kilo.
Hi, I'm Nathan Gardiner, CEO and founder of ResetU.
Yeah. And we're joined today by two amazing people and an amazing dog. Clare Nicholls from Surrey Police, OK9 Handler. Gary Botterill, founder of OK9, Oscar Kilo 9, with Poppy, the one and only OK9 original dog. Not the one and only, there's lots of them now, which you're going to talk to us about. So we're going to talk today about OK9, but obviously the whole thing that we're talking about is reset, recovery, how we work in emergency services with people who are under a lot of stress and pressure, working night shifts and stuff. So Claire, maybe start with you in terms of how you got into this, what you do as a day job and what you do with your dog.
Yes, so I work for Surrey Police. I've been in policing for 18, nearly 19 years. At the moment I work in the case review team, helping officers with the complex paperwork and files.
Stressful.
Yes. They like talking about that as much as they do wellbeing sometimes. Yeah. So, and about 3 years ago I became an OK9 handler with my dog Emmie.
A cockapoo.
She's a cockapoo, yeah. She's 5 years old, so she was 2 when we both joined Surrey Police. She brought us so much joy at home. She literally makes us laugh every day. There was an advert that went out at work and I thought, let's see how she goes. Yeah. And yes, so we've been a handler for the last 3 years.
Fantastic. Gary, what about you? What's your backstory then, just for people who don't know you?
I'm a police officer. I was a police officer. I'm retired now. I still have to remind myself that I'm retired. It just feels like I'm perpetually in the job, even though I'm not. I love working with police officers, which was why it was such a great opportunity to do OK9 and give a little bit back after my 30 years and use dogs, which are the superpower that I've got working to spread joy and happiness in the workplace, but also help people with things that they struggle with.
It's one of these things, OK9, that's just blown up, hasn't it? It's gone massive. Just give us a bit of a insight into what happened when you started and where it's up to now in terms of numbers and how many people you've got across the network in the forces and actually other services. So, because a lot of other people, other organisations are interested in the OK9 dogs, right?
Absolutely. So when I started, it's probably about 4 years ago now, and we had one or two forces that had different dogs come in. We had some forces that just had dogs come in willy-nilly, and it was a bit sort of a scattergun approach, and there was no structure behind it. So having spoken with yourself and Oscar Kilo, we wanted to do something that was increase and make accessible for everybody. Yeah. And I came up with the structure of OK9 and what that might look like, and putting all the safety protocols behind it and all that sort of stuff, so that actually every force can have OK9 if they want it, and to make it easy for people.
Yeah.
So we started off with a few passionate people with their dogs, and we've grown, and now we've got just under 300 OK9 dogs across the country. and over 30 forces who have signed up to it and are having the sort of experiences that Claire's having, which is, going out in the workplace and making a real impact.
So you've created that structure around it in terms of insurance, assessing the dogs. All the handlers are trained in mental health peer support through the Oscar Kilo programme as well. So they're really well informed people as well, aren't they? And they know what to do.
Yeah.
If they come across somebody who's struggling. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, at the other end of the lead is that peer support trained person, and the dogs elicit conversations. They help people communicate. So you really want somebody who's able to do something with that and help.
Yeah.
And that could be just listening empathetically or signposting. I'm being licked to death here. Signposted to some kind of help and support, which is what they're trained to do.
Brilliant. Well, we lost our dog a couple of years ago, so I'm getting my dog fixed at the moment, feeling very calm just with Poppy in the room. So I'm going to hand over to you, Nathan, now, because, policing's pretty new for you. You've been working it 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think you get a different perspective from somebody who comes into the weird culture of policing, the weird world of policing, who hasn't been in before. So what's your take on it in terms of what Claire and Gary have been talking about?
I think for someone that never knew this was available, I think from the phrase of the man from the street, not the street as in the that street, but the man that's kind of come into this, to know that it would sound a bit strange that, people in other organisations would bring a dog into work to do it. But actually, the more I've read up about it, listened to Andy, and now listening to that backshop story, it's absolutely amazing. So first, before I get into it, I just want to say congratulations, because I think the numbers, how you've grown that and where you've got to now is really admirable. And I do really think, and now as someone that's owns a dog, we got our first family dog last year. Baptism of fire, we wasn't prepared. It's a Dalmatian, which
why?
Yeah.
First dog, Dalmatian.
And what's been interesting over the last 3 years, I've had many conversations with officers. We started this program around sleep, fatigue, and recovery, which was a pressing issue. And one of the things that have really come out is moments where people have been struggling to find that moment to reset. What it is they do. Everyone has a different moment, and actually having a dog now myself has actually provided many moments of reset, i.e. walking him in the mornings. It's one of the highlights of my day. I live in a great area. I can go to nice fields. It's fantastic. So I want to kind of kick off with, Claire, what do you do to reset?
Exactly that. I'm with you. The dog walks are just incredible. I think my dog Emmie, she loves to walk 2 walks a day. We go for 2 long walks a day, and just walking in nature, just being in nature, seeing her so happy is just so uplifting. Come rain or shine, you might think, I don't want to go out, but when you've got those puppy dog eyes looking at you, you're going to go. So a big one for me is definitely walking, and in nature as well is hugely powerful, especially when you're dealing with hard stuff at work. Or at home, maybe. A walk is definitely really a powerful one.
It's so interesting because I've coached over 2,000 officers over the last 3 years around their sleep, fatigue and recovery. And one of the things I talk about is after a challenging day, when they come home, sometimes we lean into the not so good habits in terms of, it could be alcohol, it could be takeaway food, it could be sitting on the sofa with a bag of Doritos watching Netflix feelings. And I always say, if you've got a dog, walk it, or if you haven't, go for a walk. So Gary, what about you? What's your reset moment?
It's funny you say go for a walk. I never used to go for a walk twice a day before I had dogs. Who would? You just don't do it, do you? Unless you're an avid hiker. So they get you out in all sorts of weathers because you've got to go. But apart from that, I love paddleboarding. Recently went to a surf camp. That was great. And all your distractions and the day-to-day just goes out the window because you're battling to stay on a board and all you can think about is surviving. So that really does take you away from any concerns or troubles that you might have. And I think if you get absorbed in something, doesn't matter what it is, if you're absorbed in doing something, it takes everything away. You are kind of blinkered, you've got tunnel vision on it, you're enjoying it so much, and that's where you get the benefit, I think, and you can reset yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that we talk about in emergency services, police work, emotional, psychological detachment. You know, it's like you take stuff home with you, and how you create that disconnect to help yourself reset. So it's really interesting, Gary, 'cause you talk about being absorbed in something that totally consumes you. Yeah. That could be anything. It could be learning to play the piano or the guitar, or it could be a new hobby, couldn't it?
Yeah, crochet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's so over the last few years of doing this, what type of conversations you having when you're walking around, or any of the other handlers are walking around? How does it look in terms of someone that's not been involved in this? How does it start? Are they straight away focused on the dog, not you? Sort of talk me through that.
It depends on the reason for the visit, and people normally have to book the dogs. So if there's a section having a really tough time, maybe it could be the loss of a colleague, or it could be they've had a extremely traumatic week at work, then they'll normally ask for a dog visit, and then we bring the dogs in. And the reactions we get are everything from just, there's a dog in the room, this is great, best day ever, and they're on their hands and knees rolling around with the dog, having fun, and just forgetting about the hard stuff for a while, and it's just a chance to kind of switch off for a moment. And then we've got the bit where the peer supporters come in, because the dogs will open up those conversations, and if somebody's struggling, then we can go for a walk with them and just check on them and make sure they're all right. And they know, because these dogs are branded, they've got OK9 written all over them, they espouse well-being. That's what they're here for. So people know that when a handler and a dog comes in the room, then we are interested in their well-being, and we're there to support them.
What about you, Claire? Give us some examples of some of the real-life stuff that you've done when you've deployed, and what sort of things you've seen.
Yeah, so I think when we walk, so as Gary says, then people book us, and you just walk into a room. Sometimes people know that you're coming, and sometimes they don't. And the minute they see the dog, their faces just light up, and it's just like it's like a bit of a breath of fresh air. Sometimes it's just some things that stay with me. Sometimes it's just the smallest interaction. Like one that comes into my mind straight away is I was sitting in sort of an agile space, and I had Emmie with me, and we were just about to go and give a presentation to a team that was particularly struggling about OK9 and how we could support the team. And a woman just walked through where I was in this agile space, and her face just lit up. Oh, it's a dog. And she just got down on the floor, and I just kind of held that space for her. I didn't really need to say anything. I was just being led by her, and she just was sort of fussing Emmie, and she stayed with her for a while. And then she just got up and she just said, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm just having, a day of it, and I just didn't realise how much it was affecting me, and just thank you so much." And she just walked away a little lighter. So sometimes it can just be like a brief interaction like that. Yeah. And I think then it shows us, I mean, as Gary said, the dogs are really visible. We're all volunteers. We're all doing this on top of our day job. And people know that. Mm-hmm. They know that we're mental health first aiders. They know that we're peer support trained, and we're volunteering our time to support them and the colleagues. So I think we then become like a trusted space. They see us around a lot, and we are able to signpost them, and they come to us then when they need it.
Got you.
I think.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people don't realise just the pace and the nature of the type of work that police and other emergency service workers do. Because we are talking, I'll talk to you in a second, if that's all right, about other organisations, Blue Light, that also have some dogs, right, that you've helped them get set up as well, which I think's fantastic. But, we're looking at, thousands and thousands of exposure to traumatic events over a career. Mm-hmm. And you don't know that person you meet who's walking past you, what they've just done that morning. Yeah. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think that's part and parcel of this psychological safety. Mm-hmm. You almost create it instantaneously with the dog for some people. Mm-hmm. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we talk a lot about psychological safety. What is it? How do you create it? This seems to me to be a really important part of the jigsaw. You know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. And we also use them in a formal setting. So after a post-incident, when they're doing debriefs, they're widely used in the police. But some of our fire and rescue services, they actually have dogs on standby when people have come back from a traumatic job,
right?
And they use them in that way in order to just take the edge of whatever they've been through and give people a chance to step back, take a moment, and process what they've been through.
Yeah, because these are different than therapy dogs and PTSD dogs. I know you've got experience and you do work in that space as well, Gary. Those sort of other organisations that are interested in this and that you've worked with, maybe give us a bit of a insight into how that's happened as well, because it's not just in policing, right?
No, it's not. Because policing has been so important and so well received. Because police officers with OK9 dogs have gone visiting ambulance services on request and fire services, they've kind of got wind of what we're doing. And we've now got 7 or 8 fire and rescue services and 4 ambulance services doing this because they can see the benefits. And they, at shows and events and emergency services shows, we're constantly targeted, if you like, by other services saying, can we get involved? How can we join? It seems like a great scheme. So it's been really good in showing that all 3 services. I mean, we had the Southport attacks, and we went up there with fire and rescue, ambulance, and OK9 police wellbeing dogs to help them in the aftermath of that, and to give them the opportunity for those officers who were first of all responded to that horrible scene, but then later on they were being attacked by some members of the public and having bottles and everything else thrown at them, and seeing their colleagues injured. So it was really good to get OK9 dogs across the 3 main services there to support all the responders. Yeah.
And what experience have you had, Claire, of deploying to sort of pre-planned events down your neck of the woods? Have you done, when you've got a big pre-planned sort of, I don't know, it may be, because these were no-notice events, right, that you had after the Southport murders. How's your force sort of gearing up with the OK9 dogs in a more of a sort of planned way? Have you got any examples of those?
We do the same with the diffuse sessions. So we have OK9 handlers that are diffusers, and then they were diffusers already and they become OK9 handlers. So they give the option to the team or to the people to bring a dog.
After traumatic events.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah.
So an example of that would be there's been a really bad road traffic collision with fatal casualties, and officers and other members of staff like CSIs, etc. Even call handlers have experienced the calls coming in from victims, right?
Yeah.
And you might be called in to help with that in a spontaneous way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah, a lot of our requests come from that. I think that OK9 has really this year is really embedded into becoming a part of the wellbeing teams. An arm of it, and we're often called for bereavement or the contact centre. We have a lot of visits for both forces, Surrey and Sussex actually. A lot for the contact centre.
So I'm thinking, Nathan, you've got around well over 2,000 officers and staff doing your work. Yeah, culture, help-seeking behaviours, the be strong attitude that stops people from sticking their hand up when they're struggling. What's your sort of take on what Claire and Gary are experiencing when they're using the dogs in this way, from your experience of going out there as well?
I think on that, I'll just add some personal context to it. My son was assaulted last year. He was 21 and he struggled after the assault, and he can become very housebound, wouldn't go out. And then we got the dog, we got Milo, and we thought it turned out that Milo's helped him. He's created such a bond, such a bond with Milo. They love it. He takes him out. He goes around the park at the bat, throws the ball. And we've been really surprised how he's created this bond. And actually, when you look back, and I'm very much into science, I'm very much into sort of data and stuff. It is my bag, and I've looked at kind of how, what it is, what does an animal do, and in terms of the reducing of cortisol, the sort of the release of serotonin, the lowering of heart rate, and it's amazing to see how that can happen and change lives. And I do think that we've still got this stigma. We've got this stigma that, sometimes it's sort of like, I'll kind of battle on and I don't need to kind of do that. But in terms of how would you approach someone? What's your experience, say, Claire, of coming in where you've kind of, the sort of someone's new, it's like, do you get that kind of, oh no, it's a dog, are they, especially with a cockapoo, it's not as if it's going to be the, intimidating sort of animal. How do you kind of overcome that in terms of someone new to kind of having an interaction with an animal?
I kind of just open it up to them, really, just create that safe space for them to be able to talk what they want to. I think that's quite important. So obviously the dog opens up the conversation, and we'll talk about Emmie. And often people have dogs at home, so they'll then start to tell you about their home and their own dog or a dog that they've had in their childhood. I think it just you've straight away got a common ground. It's just hearing whatever that they want to share with you, and just being able to adapt to that and to talk to them about that. Yeah. So I think stress is something that comes up a lot, and dealing with stress of workloads. I think that's quite a big thing. Time pressure. Seeing traumatic incidents, and I think, like you said about the science, I think there's even science to suggest that even if you have a brief interaction with a dog and then you go on to see a traumatic incident, it makes it easier for you're in a better position to then go and deal with it. So it can be after and before as well, I think.
Yeah.
From a sort of personal perspective, I've mentioned that my son went through some struggles. Dog helped him recover from that. In terms of your love of dogs and doing that, where did that start? Does it go back to a particular part of your life?
I guess it went back to when we first got our first rescue dog. He was absolutely nuts, and I spent a lot of time trying to train that dog. And then we got another one, and was equally nuts in a completely different way. So as a trainer, for me, they were both really challenging, but I loved the challenge. And they went from some very, very crazy dogs with some big issues to the sort of dogs where people would compliment me and say, your dogs are really well behaved. How did you do that? So it gave me a sense of achievement to do that. And I've always loved dogs because you can work with them, and you've got a commonality. So when I'm stroking Poppy like this, it's an oxytocin share that we've got going on, and the oxytocin is similar thing to what mothers give their newborn babies. So it engenders trust, security, and love. And I think if you could bottle this, it would be amazing, but you can't. So having these dogs in the workplace help people to relax, as you mentioned, cortisol levels, heart rate, all that sort of stuff. And when you're in a really stressed job, which policing can be, and where there's lots of trauma, this really, really does help. So yeah, that's kind of where I come from. But because I have experienced colleagues who have sadly taken their own lives. I've experienced colleagues who have had PTSD, and I've seen the devastating effect that it's had on them. I wanted to do something about that, and I noticed when I went round there, if they were stroking the dog, they could talk to me normally without shaking and without sweating and without being really, really nervous. And that was just a light bulb moment for me. So I thought, dogs, stress, PTSD, how can dogs help people? And I did the research, and a year later I started Service Dogs UK, and it's a really successful charity that helps people with PTSD.
It's a fantastic story.
Through the magic of dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Claire, what about yourself? Where's your journey start?
I can share that about 10 years ago I became quite poorly. I did have some stress that was happening in my life. I was quite aware of stress and the impact on the body, but still I became unwell. I was having persistent headaches that the doctors were saying was stress related, and I just suddenly got quite worse. And then I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Graves' disease, and it's not something that I'd ever heard of before. I was assigned to a consultant endocrinologist, and I asked about it. I was obviously curious about it, why I got it. And he said it was something that we can be predisposed to, but it can be triggered by stress. So, stress was a real, was key in there. And I asked him, I had a treatment plan, and I asked him, what's the chances of me making a full recovery, no relapse? And he said, it depends if you can have a stress-free and calm life. So
good luck with that.
Yeah.
Possible.
So I work in policing. I work in policing. I'm in safeguarding. It's not very conducive to calm and stress-free. And life happens as well, doesn't it? So I walked out there thinking, okay, I need to tool up. I need a really good toolkit. And I just went out to everything. And anything that interested me, I experimented with. Meditation comes up again and again, how good it is for you. I thought, right, where do I learn meditation? I'm going to go to a Buddhist center. They're the ones that are going to know. And I just reached out to all these different things. And I think it was really invaluable that everything happened, because it really made me aware of, how important it is to have a toolkit. And there's always hope. There's always support out there for you. There's always people that care. And I think why OK9 resonates so much, why I see so much value in it, is because these are all people that are there to support you. Yeah. They can signpost you together with you. So, everybody has their autonomy of what they would like to be signposted to, and it's just a discussion with somebody who's your peer who can help you. In Sussex, we have diffusers, chaplains, mental health leads, department leads, officers and staff from all different ranks, officers and staff that have left the force and come back to stay with OK9, and they all bring their own interests, life experiences, expertise to the role, so they can really help people.
Because this is something that I think is really important around the OK9. It's a movement. Mm-hmm. If somebody nationally had said, right, there's a policy where you've all got to have 10 wellbeing dogs in your force, it wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. No. But it's a viral movement. I've never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think other people in the world of wellbeing, we talk to a lot of people who work in this space in other organisations. It's a phenomenon, it really is. Mm-hmm. And it's the front line of well-being. Mm-hmm. Some people, dogs at work, it's like, stroking dogs. If only everything in the world was great, we wouldn't need the dogs, which is true, but it isn't. Mm-hmm. And you're at the cutting edge of it. You're in there where the work is happening. You've got lived experience. You're trusted because you're peers. And so you're relatable. I think people, when they want to reach out, they need to be able to have trust, but they also want to think the person can relate to them. And I think that's really important thing around peer-to-peer work. I was over in Pearson the other week, and they had a peer support awards ceremony to congratulate these people, unsung heroes, right, peer supporters. And I said, you can cut the empathy in this room with a knife, because you've got empaths who are well-informed with a dog. Mm-hmm. And most dogs are empaths, right, of some sort, aren't they? So, I think... What do you pick up from? So there's going to be people who go, it's not for me. What's going on there? What's the deal with that? Some people don't like dogs. That's fair enough, right? What about the people who are hard to reach? What's your take on that and your experience of it? How do we get them involved and really tried to reach out to them?
I think we've had a few people who have had dog phobias and were worried about dogs, and because of the way we do it, we do it safely.
Yeah,
we let people
Don't
know
buy
in advance.
people.
All
You
that
don't
sort
buy
of stuff.
people or round them up.
No, we try not to. So it's all done very, very safely, and a lot of people who have had phobias or were worried about dogs have come over and got over their fears of dogs because they know they're going to interact with a dog that's going to be completely safe, and that's helped them get over that particular problem that they had. Not saying that everybody who doesn't like dogs has got a problem, but we look after different people with allergies. We've got the safeguarding around that we put in place. And I think police officers can be hard to reach when it comes to wellbeing anyway. The fact that this isn't something that's on the intranet, it's got 4 legs and a tail.
It's a real thing.
And is going to come up to you in the workplace, and it's got a jacket on saying, I'm here for your well-being.
Yeah.
I think it really does reach those parts that it's like a Heineken advert. It will get you because they're there and they're up close and personal.
Because people struggle in silence, don't they? A lot. And in the culture that we come from, it can be difficult sticking your hand up in front of other people, right? So, you go into, say, a control room, because I know you've done work like that. What's that environment like for you when you go into, not the sort of uniform, roughy-tufty end, but the people who sometimes are suffering in silence and experiencing a lot of trauma through incidents, taking calls about, that type of thing. Have you got any sort of examples of that, Claire, where you've gone into those sort of environments and what's happened?
Yeah, so the contact centre is a really different environment, isn't it? And they're on the phone. They're on the phone all the time, so it can be quite a difficult environment because obviously the business need is the priority.
Keep them on the phone.
Yeah. So, and also it's invariably the contact centres I've been to, they're massive, huge open plan offices. So there's not like little bits that you can take people to. You can't really take them off for walk and talks because they need to be on the phone. So what we have done specifically with the contact centres, we've gone into, when they have CPD days, we've gone into their training days, and if they're having an input on trauma or something like that, that's where we've where the OK9 dogs have come in for that. At the times we have gone in to visit the team, I think it's just about being really visible, and that the people know that you're there, and then it might not be that day that they come forward to you, but you can have an interaction about something else, anything else that they want to talk about, so that they know that when they need you, who you are, whether you've got your dog or not for that day. They know you, and they know that what you're there for, and that you volunteer in this way.
Break the ice, get to know you, take the sort of fear out of it.
Yeah, that's right. So I think building up relationships with people, and people seeing, like you say, the movement, and they know that all the OK9 handlers are open to having these conversations with them.
Earlier, it was interesting what you're saying there, and it's made me think about your previous comment, Claire, about having a toolkit, an arsenal of stuff to go to. If you were to pick a top 5, I can kind of think where the dogs might be in that top 5. But if you were to pick a top 5, I'll ask you after. And what would your top 5 be for that arsenal, that toolkit for wellbeing?
Well, so we'd have to go with the dogs first as our number one.
Quite
definite. Right. At the end of the day, Emmie being there is the best thing for sure. Everyone needs a dog. I think movement is huge. I think our bodies like to move, and I think it's any movement that you enjoy. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything that you enjoy is incredible for your physical and mental health. I would say meditation. I go on and off with it, but I think meditation is a really big one. It's very helpful. Sometimes just being really mindful of coming into your present moment, I think, is very important. And I would say, I think community and connection is a big
Social
thing
connection.
for me. That social connection with people that you can be your authentic self with.
I've seen that since I've I've kind of been baptised into this world of dog walking over the last year or so, and you see, and I look at the elderly kind of people who are out walking dogs.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, well, I go, they might live on their own. It's their companion.
Yeah.
And actually, the dog walk is that ability to connect with someone because they love a chat. They get out, they get some movement, and then they love to chat. You know, and I found this. It's sort of like you can, you know, sometimes my wife goes, "You was ages," and I was like, I got caught talking, and I just think sometimes you have these like fantastic conversations with someone you've never met, and even outside of the world of police, that's just in a field or in a park, and someone's got a dog, I've got a dog, and we start from there, and that dog's the start. You know, how old is he, she, you know, and that. What about you, Gary? What's your go-to top 5?
Well, the first 3 are dogs, walking, movement, and being out in nature. So you got 3 in one by just having a dog. Apart from that, love being on the paddleboard, on the ocean.
More nature.
Nature.
Cold water.
Doing something purposeful, doing something with purpose. And it could be when you're doing an OK9 visit, but it could also be, you know, getting involved in a charity or helping colleagues. So if you think that what you're doing is going to make a difference to somebody, then that's a good thing to get up in the morning for, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes you feel good. And I think the other thing that I would recommend, which I'm guilty of not doing, is blue lights, phone at night when you're trying to relax.
Yeah.
So I think maybe banning the phone, locking it in a cupboard when I go for a walk would be a good thing, you know, that sort of stuff. Because you've got to switch off. You can't have it constant. You can't be on constantly because it wears you down. So you've got to recharge those batteries. And I think putting the phone to one side is a good way to do that.
Yeah, it's taught me that when I take our Dalmatian on a walk, if I try and be, you know, multitask with the phone, and he's and he's in the river, and he's, you know, and then my wife's always like, "I bet you were on your phone, weren't you?" Because I wasn't fully present, and I've been guilty of that where I'm not.
And you've missed that amazing moment.
You know, I'm too busy looking at a screen. So that's kind of my go-to. I agree. Put it in my pocket and stay with it.
It's really interesting what you've been saying there, because all the work that we've done over the last 3 years with wearables and all that sort of stuff. Bearing in mind, you know, the phone does need to go in a cupboard at night. So I'm not hammering the sort of this as the silver bullet. People talk about. I don't get enough movement. I don't hydrate enough. I'm eating the wrong stuff. I sleep suffering, and I'm struggling to get social connection. You know, those spaces that we used to have, and that time that we maybe used to have in big organisations, particularly like policing, it's always on. And that social connection is something that people can feel very isolated and lose. And so how we create that through the amazing work that you folks are doing, but also how we try to create that and bring it back into the world of policing through the use of technology, through the use of networks. You know, your networks, there's 300 of them now, you're saying. To actually communicate with those 300, Gary, you must struggle to put your phone away at 6 o'clock at night, because people are using digital channels to communicate through networks, aren't they? That sort of thing we're going to try to make easier for you with some of the work that we're doing with the ResetU app. So, you know, a community for OK9 handlers where you can just like shoot the breeze with people.
Yeah, fantastic.
Share experiences, you know, and talk about what's working, what's not working. That's the sort of thing that we're trying to achieve to help you, because getting hold of those 300 people. I remember a funny story about Gary and his OK9 dogs. We did a big conference at a hotel a few years ago, didn't we? And the dogs
I'm
took
not sure
over.
what you're going to say now.
The dogs took over the hotel, and one of them actually dropped a poop in reception, didn't it? At a 5-star hotel. So every now and again, Gary, you know, they misbehave. Was that one of your dogs?
It was.
Oh, was it?
It was. But in the defence of OK9, it was right at the beginning, and our dogs have never done that.
They've never
again
pooped in a hotel foyer
since.
That's a real positive.
And that was before we had the specialist OK9 Dogs Trust training, where we're looking at body language, we're making sure that our dogs are, you know, being properly looked after at the highest levels of welfare. So, yeah, I would always take that as feedback for the handler. Keep an eye on your dog, read your dog's body language, but there you go.
Yeah, spot it coming.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that we're Andy and I, as he just mentioned there, we're looking to try and, with the app that's launching, the ResetU app, we want to feed more information, more engagement. And one of the potential campaign that we come up with, I just want to throw this at you. It was pause and pause.
Yeah, brilliant.
do you get it?
Yeah.
Pause and pause.
Yeah.
See, Gary's going to wish he thought of that.
I know.
It was a campaign name that came out this morning, and so it's more about that moment, like we were saying. Can we take a moment to pause? Can we take a moment to give ourselves that break? And can we do it by walking our four-legged friends as well? And like you said, Gary, that hitting 3 in 1.
Yeah.
We can do that, and if we could. What a place we would be if we can also. I love the summers when the sun's coming up and we're getting out. And again, from a science perspective, we're getting circadian rhythm going. We're getting sunlight. We're getting movement. We're getting all these things before we start our day. It's not a bad place to be, is it?
That's exactly that.
great.
Exactly that.
Nathan's thank you when we started off here for the work you do. You bring the power and the wellbeing impact dogs to tens of thousands of people every year who don't have dogs, some of them. Or they may have had a dog in earlier life but not got one now, and you spread that and in a very purposeful, very structured way with a serious element to it. You've talked about suicide prevention, Gary. We never know. Sometimes we may just have caught that individual, that person, that colleague at the right time and given them an opportunity to reach out instead of taking another path, which is something we're all really passionate about. So there's a really serious element to what we do in the work that we do. But it's amazing stuff that you're doing. You're here to stay. You're going from strength to strength. And you're a massive part of the jigsaw around what we're trying to do to support people in blue light services and policing around the wellbeing. So thanks very much and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
In terms of those that don't know about you, I don't know if there's anyone out there that doesn't, but there may be. How can they find out more? Where do they go? What's the next steps for them to be able to get a kind of visit?
The best thing to do is to go to the Oscar Keeler website, and there's information there about OK9. And once they've read that and they want to take it to the next level and contact me, there's a contact email, send it in, put dogs on the top and it'll come to me. And if it's got dogs anywhere in the email, it'll come to me and I'll pick it up.
And is it a case of then it's a simple, you'll have a conversation back with the individual, like you mentioned earlier, arrange a visit, all the kind of the safety aspects all kind of taken care of?
Yeah, so if it's for a dog visit, then that's normally done through force. So if you're in force, go through your SPOC. Every single force, all 30 plus of them, have got a SPOC lead who coordinates the visits. But if it's another force or organisation that wants to start OK9, or you've got other OK9 related questions, then go to the Oscar Keeler website and fill in the contact email and it'll come to me.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Claire. And thanks, Poppy. You've been brilliant, as usual.